So lovely to see you. Well done for coming, and for those who brought your children, hope they have a good time. I'm sure they have a good time as well. To the Art of Giving seminar with Shema Bni. Thank you for joining us. A short, brief introduction from the Art of Giving. We know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Goymel Chasodim Tovim. That's what we say in Shema Esrei. He's Goymel Chasodim Tovim. He bestows loving kindness, and we know every morning we make a bracha HaGoymel Chasodim Tovim LeAmo Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives his great kindness, chasodim tovim, his good kindness to Amo Yisrael, to his people Israel. We know HaKadosh Baruch Hu's mercy, his rachamim, his shefa, his toiv, his goodness not only to mankind, to the whole of creation, to see how everybody seems to make it. Everybody makes the pranosa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks after all of us in his great kindness. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate giver. He doesn't need anything. Even when our Torah mitzvahs that we give to him, he doesn't need our Torah mitzvahs. It's our sign of appreciation. Rabbi Dessler says, our hakara satoiv to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to serve him. Now, this concept of giving, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to, he also shared this with mankind. He gave us this concept of giving. Hashem owes only a giver. He created us with two faculties of giving and receiver. Very clever. Giving, and Rabbi Tesla talks about giving and taking. There's givers and takers. And he says the world is full of all things. But Kodesh Baruch Hu, the first thing is Hashem gave us part of his divine essence to be a giver. And that's one of the things we walk in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ways by being a giver. We know on the other side we live in a society which is full of taking. Everybody, kina, taiva, and covered, all the worst midas and character traits in the world are all formed from the midah, the trait of taking. Rabbi Dessler says a powerful thing. He says these two sides, to be a giver or to be a taker, when it comes to a relationship with other people, you can only be a giver or a taker. There's no middle ground. Maybe in one's inner self, he says there's discussion. But as far as giving and taking itself, as far as relation to other people, either we're a giver or a taker, any action we do. And he says, if a person analyzes his innermost thoughts, his speech, his action, he should always analyze and ask himself, anything outside of himself, is he a giver or is he a taker? And we'll find it always will fall in one of each category. I just want to share with you just a beautiful idea from Rabbi Dessler. I highly encourage you. He wrote a Kuntras HaChesed. It's in the first chelek of Michta Midio, which has been translated Strive for Truth. It's right at the beginning there. It was one of Rabbi Dessler's, one of his favorite pieces of, and I don't want to give it all away today, maybe other speakers, but he talks about, he says, although he said there's people are takers and the people are givers, and even the people, he said, everybody has the power, or a spark, he says, a nitzutz inside them of being a giver. Everybody needs to give in some way. He says, for example, somebody can be the most selfish person, but he's making a wedding. He can't just have the wedding by himself, the party. He wants to share with other people. He's got to have other people to join in his simcha. So even the most selfish person, he needs other people around him. Everybody has got a spark of giving. And then he talks about here, he said this is the whole point about, one of the worst punishments is, isolation, prison. The whole reason for that is a person's completely isolated by himself. And he says this all because the human need, even if a person is mainly a taker, he definitely has sparks of giving within inside him. And he says here as follows, a very beautiful thing. He says like this, he says 2 reasons why a person has a craving for a child. Why does a person want to have a child? He says 2 reasons why a person would like to want children. Unless they're teenagers. Everyone wants to have children. We didn't count them being teenagers. With it, I want a teenager. No one says, I want a baby. A teenager. Okay. So they're lovely. They do turn out the other side. It's like a painting. You just have to wait for it to flourish and just that's where they do get there. Please God. It's Hashem should have a lot of nachas and it should go easy, especially the teenage years. Okay, we all got there, right? We all got through it. So he says there's two reasons a person would like to have a child. One reason is because he wants a continuation of themselves. We know we're not going to be here forever. So by having a child, we know that it's a continuation of ourselves. But he says there's also something else. He said also from this spark of giving, he says the person has this feeling of love and wants to bestow kindness to someone else, to something else. And therefore he wants to have a child in order to give of themselves. Because... And he says a very beautiful thing. He says, you see, that people who don't have children, that somebody would adopt a child. Anybody who's seen people with a pet dog? I'm not saying anything about pets and it's for or against or anything else, but you see some people love their dogs. I've seen people love hugging and kissing them. I'm not a big animal fan, sorry. But some people would put all their love into the dog. Or it could be a plant. Some people talk to the plants and water the plants. But these are all ways of giving. The person expresses that spark of giving. And he wants to ask a question here. So I want to ask you a question. When we've got... So you see, interesting, that love and giving are very much intertwined with each other. Now, that he asks the question that when we give, do we give to something we love? Yes, is that the way forward? That means, what's the main reason? Is it because we love the person, therefore we want to give to them? Or is it, what's the other side? We give them in order to love. Now normally, we say we love somebody. I love my wife, and therefore I want to give her a gift. I love my wife, I want to give her time. So because we love somebody, love a child, we want to give them. Because we love something, we love ourselves, we eat a nice hot chocolate croissant. So when we have love, when we love ourselves, or we love something, or when there's love, then usually we love something, so therefore we give to it. But Rabbi Dessler says it doesn't have to only be that way. He says, by giving, we also create love. And he brings two proofs from here. Listen to this. He says, number one in the Torah, says there's three groups of people who are exempt from if they go out to war, they can go back home. Daniel, help me out. Who are the three groups of people who are exempt, but they can go back? Doesn't see Shiva Bochum. They can go to the army. That's not a discussion. We have a seminar on that. Okay. Anyway, what's the three people in the army? Somebody's just built a new house. Very nice. He built a nice, beautiful house in Cape Town somewhere. And he built it himself with his own hands. He built this house. So he goes out to war. What do we say? No, you just built a new house. You haven't lived in it yet. You're Potter. You're exempt. Definitely go to war. What else? Sorry?
Grapevine.
A grapevine. He's just been planting this vine, he's been nurturing it, and he hasn't had the chance to eat the fruits of the grapes yet. So he's Potter, he's exempt from going to war. Anything else? Just got married. Says Rabbi, he just got married. He's got this new, beautiful wife, and he can't go to war and leave her now. He has to look after her and spend time with her, and dedicate his time and love and give to her. He's exempt from going to war. Says Rabbi Dessler, interesting. These three things all put together. Building a house, vineyard, planting a vineyard, and getting married. See, it's interesting. Marriage is the highest level of human contact. It's the closest relationship that we can have. And it's equated to the highest level of giving and closeness. So what do we say? It's equated still to building a house. Yeah? It's getting married, it's the same thing as building a house. He said, Rav Dessler, that's an interesting thing. He said, when a person invests himself, when he gives something, the fruit of his hands is all his giving of himself. When a person gives himself, he loves that. It becomes an extension of himself. And therefore, you see, we understand it in marriage. We understand in the concept of marriage. In the relationship of marriage, we understand through that marriage, by giving a marriage, we become connected as one. And he says the same thing if you build something. Your own fruit of your actions. Dan will tell you, he created something. He painted the room. No advertising. Yeah, you painted, you decorated. It's the fruit of your actions. So you love that. But why? Because it becomes an extension of yourself. So Rabbi Dessler says, you see the idea that marriage, where we understand that, the same thing, that anything we create, anything we invest in, the creation of our hand, the action of our hands, what we create and what we invest in becomes an extension of ourselves. And therefore, that's why we love the fruit of our actions. That's why we have concern from it. So he says, what happens? What's the outcome of this? The outcome of this is that if a person is giving, a person is invested in something, then he comes to love that. And the same thing is with other people. the more that we give, the more we love that. And he brings a proof, and I finish with this, from a Gemara Bava Metzia, that he says there's a mitzvah to help load and unload. So somebody's got a donkey and the donkey's overloaded, or you're seeing somebody loading up their donkey, or outside Tesco's, loading up the cart. I know people will do online nowadays, but anyway, you want to help the Tesco man, etc. And it's interesting, the Gemara talks about, once you've got somebody who's an enemy of yours, and you've got somebody who's a friend of yours, who should you help unload? The enemy. So he said, why? Because by helping him, by giving to him, that will create, he'll become an extension of yourself. You've invested in that, it will remove the anger and the sinner, the hatred from your heart, and you'll end up loving him. So the more we give to something, that creates more of an ahava. And that's really what Rabbi Reuven, one of his messages is, by being a giver, we are able, by giving something we invest in, even something we dislike, we can actually create love by giving to that.